Welcome to the channel. My name is Jacob Penrod. I'm a fantasy author with a book coming later this year. Picture Seven Samurai meets Attack on Titan meets Guardians of the Galaxy. You got a general idea what we're going for there. But we are back with Hamilton, and I think we're going to go all the way to the midpoint. Now, the midpoint is one of the most important features in any story, where you have just this huge catalyst for change for your character. So I'm excited to see what we're going to get there. Last we left off, we had Alexander getting together with Eliza, and they fought the war and won the war, maybe? No, they didn't win the war, they just called him back. Let's start this. Let's go.
I was younger than you are now, when I was given my first command. I led my men straight into a massacre.
Oof.
I witnessed their deaths firsthand.
So this is interesting because it's not only setting up a comparison between what Alexander's wanting to be and Washington. It's saying Washington has gone through this, he's made mistakes, but it shaped his view on legacy, where we've seen him say repeatedly something to the effect of your legacy is carved out by the actions you take, and who cares what other people say because your actions speak for themselves, and you can't really control what other people are going to say. All you can control is doing the right thing. And so I think this is what that's setting up, is he's saying, look, you might make mistakes, and I think that's foreshadowing Hamilton's going to make some mistakes either here or later, but what matters is that you keep going and that you carve out your own legacy. That's what I'm getting from that little line.
I made every mistake.
Yeah, made every mistake.
And felt the shame rising, knowing history has its eyes on me.
So he's feeling all this pressure, which is interesting from a meta perspective because as the first president of the United States, George Washington does kind of have more of a reputable legacy than Hamilton left. So he's not just talking out of nowhere. History did have its eyes on him. And it's interesting because at least with general discourse for George Washington, from what I understand, he is kind of heralded as this great figure, and I'm not versed enough in history to know how much of that is real versus all the awful things that historical people always have done. But just from like a narrative perspective, it's interesting because he's not just talking small talk. Like, history did have its eyes on him, and he led his men into a massacre. And so this is just a really interesting look at a potential future for Hamilton, potentially saying this is what this could lead to. You need to be prepared.
Let me tell you what I wish I'd known.
Yeah, so directly
When I was
talking.
young and dreamed of glory.
Someone asked me to pause when I talk, and that's a really good idea. Let me tell you what I wish I'd known when I was young and dreamed of glory. He's saying, let me tell you what I wish I'd known when I was like you. I think I said this when they first met, but I see a lot of Alexander and George Washington, and I think this is reflecting that.
You have no control. Who lives, who dies, who tells your story?
You have no control who lives, who dies, who tells your story. And that is a challenge against one of Alexander's key coping mechanisms, which is he tries to take control through action, through writing, through revolution. He wants to fight, he wants to cause change, and it comes from this deep insecurity of his legacy and where he comes from and what his self-worth is. And he's saying, I wish I was like you, or I wish when I was like you, I knew you don't get to control that. Like, you're going to make mistakes, you're going to screw up, you're going to do great things, you're going to win this war, maybe. And if you're trying to serve a narrative, if you're trying to carve out a story for yourself, you're going to get so in your own head and so caught up in the details that you're not going to be able to act. And you're going to have a chance to do something great, but be so caught up on dying like a martyr that you forget to live, I guess.
I know that we can win. I know that greatness lies in you. But remember, from here on in, history has its eyes on you.
So Hamilton's finally getting what he wanted. But we've seen that he's someone who's never satisfied. It's not going to be enough for him. He's always going to want more, because it's not actually about achievement for Hamilton. It's about this psychology, this insecurity that he has, this deep need to prove himself, to be more than the sum of his parts.
We'll be with you when you do.
Go, lead your men.
See you on the other.
Was that foreshadowing? I know something was happening in France around this time. We'll be with you when we do. When you do. Do you have the authority to make that promise? Or are you just hoping that whoever's calling the shots is going to do that? That's a really interesting line that's sticking out to me, because it's a promise that's easy to make when you're trying to rile someone up. But I wonder, I can't decide whether or not that would be in character to go and help France if they need him, and here's why. On one hand, global legacy, like you're branching out, you're helping friends, and then it's also showing yourself like, I'm the kind of person who cares about people, and those are both things that Hamilton values. But on another sense, I don't think he would do that if it came at the cost of the United States just being established. So, like, with it actively going on, I think the conflict would be, sorry, but this is my legacy, and I'm not leaving it, and you can take care of yourself. Maybe it's not even part of this musical. It just stood out to me. It's got to be, because he mentioned it.
People, if I'm given the chance.
We'll be with you when you do.
Go, lead your men.
See you on the other side.
Here we meet again.
I imagine death so much it feels more like a memory.
Oh, this is a callback to a lot of different songs. So this is where it gets me. On my feet, the enemy ahead of me. He still imagines his death so much. I imagine death so much it feels more like a memory. But why is that important? Is it because he is longing for death? Is it because he's scared of it? Or it feels more like a memory, something in his past. So he's familiar with it. He doesn't fear it. It goes back to what George Washington was saying about dying is easy, living is harder. He's still thinking about this legacy that he can leave, I think. Let me go ahead and let it play out, because I might just sound like a fool.
This is where it gets me. On my feet, the enemy ahead of me. If this is the end of me, at least I have a friend with me. Weapon in my hand, a command, and my men with me. Then I remember my Eliza's expecting me. Not only that, my Eliza's expecting. We gotta go, gotta get the job done. Gotta start a new nation, gotta meet my son. Take a...
Here's a question. So he wants to go and see Eliza because his son is expecting. Do you think this is because he loves Eliza and his son? Primarily, I think these are both probably factors. Or do you think it's because his father wasn't present and he wants to be someone who can break the cycle? Or a third thing. What do you think is motivating him there? I'm kind of, the more I sit on it, the less generous I am toward his relationship with Eliza. I do think he cares about her, but I'm also a little put off by how quickly he switched between sisters and how he was talking about, like, in the context of being rich before that. And he was kind of just saying all the right things and doing the right things. And, like, there's clearly love there, and she, especially from her to him, and she balances him out. But I think he just has this legacy in his mind that he loves more than anything. And we can contrast this to the first time he was singing these lyrics. I'm not throwing away my shot.
So much it feels more like a memory. This is where it gets me. On my feet, the enemy ahead of me. If this is the end of me, at least I have a friend with me.
Yeah, if this is the end of me, at least I have a friend with me. Weapon in my hand, a command, and my men with me. why is that important to him? That's rhetorical. I think I know. I think it's important because it's showing this way that he's already risen through the ranks. And we know from how he's talked that it won't be enough. But he's so proud of this. Like, he's not scared to death. He's happy to be where he's at now. And it's not going to last. Why? Okay, but why do you have to take your bullets out of your gun to move undercover? There's something I'm not getting there about guns, I imagine. Oh. Thank you. I was going to ask what Rochambeau means, wondering if it's thematic, but I imagine that's the actual code word that they used. So the American experiment begins.
We will never be free until we end slavery.
Oh.
When we finally drop the British away, Lafayette is there waiting in Chesapeake.
Hey!
How did we know that this plan would work? We had a spy on the inside. That's
Who?
right.
Hey! He takes their measurements and information. He's like, they're planning an attack and also has like a 34-inch inline seam. I don't know how. They do a half loop stitch on China silk, and that's how he knows he gets them. There's a reference I don't know if anyone's gonna get. Oh, he has so much energy. Nice. Okay. So when you knock me down, I get the Disney back up again. I think they did bleep it out. That's funny. Let's see. I mean, this is just kind of the theme of this group of friends, is they don't stay down. And that's the broader theme of this revolution, is they don't stay down.
After a week of fighting, a young man in a red coat stands on a parapet.
We lower our guns as he frantically waves that white handkerchief.
Hey.
And just like that, it's over. We tend to our wounded. We count our dead.
Black and white soldiers wonder alike if this really means freedom.
Not yet.
Tens of thousands of people flood the streets. There are screams and church bells ringing. And as our fallen foes retreat, I hear the drinking song they're singing.
So it's interesting because this all started with a drinking song in My Shot and Raise a Glass. Interesting. Yeah, he's already thinking about the next steps. Like, he's not thinking, we just won a war. He's like, this is what's next. I'm going to meet my son. We're going to start a new nation. I think they're very natural sentiments given what just happened, but it also is showing him moving forward. He's always moving forward. Nice. So the world turned upside down. This is over reading into it, and I'm going to do it anyway. It's just, I still feel like this isn't going to be enough for Alexander. I feel like he's going to win and be like, okay, what's next? Let's do this. We won the war. Like, why does that matter if we don't do anything about it? Let's make a change and just start pushing forward. And I'm sure he'll make some other change, rile other people up to action. And when they're processing that, he's lighting something else on fire. He wants to be there for his son, and I imagine he'll love his son. And also, with how driven he is, I imagine he's going to find it hard to be the father that he wants to be. That might be unfair. So don't hold me to that, but just a hunch. Oh, I'm so proud of them all. He's back.
They say
Okay, wait. So before he gets into it too much, last time, I want to clarify, I knew he wasn't actually singing to Hamilton. I just meant thematically the lyrics applied to his core psychological urges and vulnerabilities. And he kind of dismissed it as a child having a tantrum. And I'm curious what he's going to say now and if that's going to set up the next arc for Hamilton.
of my war's not a price that they're willing to pay. Insane. You cheat with the French. Now I'm
He sees it as
fighting with
cheating.
France and with Spain. I'm so blue. I thought that we made an arrangement when you went away. You were mine to subdue. Well, even despite our estrangement, I've got a small query for you.
My guess is, what are you going to do about it? Good job. You won. You have a new nation. You're going to find out it's not so easy. Maybe I made the decisions I was making for a reason. Maybe you really got to fight to keep people under control. Maybe you shouldn't let your people go off and start new countries when you had an arrangement. Maybe you should fight back. So, yeah, good job. You won. Nice tantrum. Everyone's real proud of you. But what now? Like, how do you possibly think you're going to do this? You're going to learn that it wasn't so easy being old Georgie, and maybe I had all these things going on for a reason, and you've been naive. And then that sets us up for whatever Hamilton's going to do next.
What comes next? You've been freed. Do you know
Oh,
to lead? You're on your own. Awesome. Wow. Do you have a clue what happens?
oh, I nailed this!
You're on your own.
So King George is being used as a framing device for, I think, the little character arcs that Hamilton is having. The first one was, can you prove yourself? Can you rise and show that you're more than just a tantruming child? And now this one is saying, great, can you prove yourself and show that you actually know how to run a country, how to start some kind of actual system? Good luck, because it's not so easy. And so I think what we're going to see next in the second half is Hamilton trying to help establish the country, having people hate him, and feeling on his own. No. Okay. No. Thought process time. What would on his own look like? That would mean he loses Peggy, Angelica, and Eliza in his life. His dad said be true. I think whether it's an affair with work or an affair with another woman or something like that, I think something's going to happen where he's pulled away, and she begged him to stay. She said that would be enough. Nothing's ever enough for him. He's not going to stay. He's going to leave them. And then he's going to be abandoned by his family. He's going to be abandoned by the people, like, not George Washington, King George was saying. And that's going to lead us to our all is lost moment. I don't know what that's going to be. But I'm guessing that this is going to take us up to about the 3/4 act of the play, when maybe we'll hear from him again. I think this is setting up the next chunk of the story, and with what he was saying, that would leave us with Hamilton desperate and all on his own and needing to really dig down deep and find out what matters to him, and that traditionally happens between the 70 and 80% mark. Is that Aaron Burser? It is Aaron Burser! He's my favorite.
Dear Theodosia, what to say to you? My heart.
So he's pushing forward his own legacy too.
I'm dedicating
Oh.
every day to you. Domestic life was never quite my style when you smile. You knocked me out, I fall apart, and I thought I was so smart.
That exact verse could apply it to Hamilton. Like,
I'm dedicated.
I'm dedicating every day to you. I think his child is his child, but it also ties into this broader concept of legacy that motivates everything that he does. Someone in my comments who is so smart said, Burr is fighting to keep a legacy, Hamilton's fighting to build one. I thought that was so interesting. I wish I remembered who they were. But yeah, every day to you. Domestic life was never quite my style. With Hamilton growing up, it was a severely challenging situation, and now he is having trouble staying with Eliza because he's being called to action. And if your child had a fraction of your smile, and he thinks he's smart. Like, this could apply so well to Hamilton too. They're mirroring each other. He sees the world in his daughter, but also it's a deeper motivation than that, because there's a certain sense of pride that lots of parents have in their children, where if my child's done something, that's even better than me doing it, because that shows, like, in some twisted way, like, their accomplishments are my accomplishments, and it shows how good of a job I did parenting them, which for someone whose parents died, I don't know what his, I guess everyone's parents die eventually, but he clearly has insecurities with his parent situation, so that would be deeply meaningful to him. But this same sentiment could be sung from Hamilton. They are mirroring each other. Okay.
Look at my son. Pride is not the word I'm looking for. There is so much more inside me.
Oh, that's a nice callback. Nothing but ruined pride, and now pride is coming back in a greater sense. They both want to break the cycle.
I'll make a million mistakes. I'll make the world safe and sound for you.
So that's interesting. Hamilton's saying he'll do whatever it takes. It gets to that core thing of him, or drive of him taking action. But then we get to Burr, who talks about making a million mistakes, and that intrigues me. Why is that what he goes for? Because it brings to mind what Washington was saying about making mistakes and history still having its eyes on you and your actions carving out your legacy. It feels significant to me, but I can't quite pin it down off the top of my head.
Come of age with our young nation. We'll bleed and fight for you. We'll make it right for you. If we lay a strong enough foundation, we'll pass it on to you. We'll give the world to you and you'll grow us.
So, it's deeper than just children, where, yes, they are children, but like I mentioned earlier, it's also this legacy where they're not going to live to see all of the changes that they're supposedly going to set in place. Like, they're just with how long it takes for things to actually get moving, they might be able to plant the seeds, but they won't be able to reap what grows, so to speak. So the fact that they had children means not only can I break the cycle of my father not being around, but I can also, like, I have someone here who's a manifestation of this new world that I'm working to create. And so they have something that's both driving their need to be a father and also driving their need to better the nation. And Eliza's there watching.
I may not live to see our glory,
I may not live.
There's a letter for you.
It's from John Lawrence. I'll read it later.
but I will gladly join the fight.
No.
Yeah, and you shot Charles Lee, you jerk.
When our children tell our story,
Boo.
they'll tell the story of tonight.
On Tuesday, the 27th.
Did he have a
my
kid
son
too?
was killed in a gunfight against British troops retreating from South Carolina.
I forgive you for shooting Charles Lee.
Are you all right?
I have so much work to do.
Look, he deals with trauma by working.
I went back to New York.
Wow.
I went back to New York.
New York, where you can be a new man, it represents rebirth. Neither of them are satisfied. But wow, that's significant that this story has been so good at emotions and letting emotions inform characterization. There's a book I love called The Emotional Craft of Fiction by Donald Mess, and that's all about how to get stronger emotions in your story. And he talks about this concept of cascading emotions, where you have you have emotions that a character feels, but what isn't impactful is, or seeing them in that state isn't impactful. What's more impactful is seeing that state change, understanding how it changes, but then especially seeing how their emotions change the people around them. And then by seeing that effect, we're able to better internalize it as viewers and create that effect in readers as writers. And that's what's happening here is the fact that instead of the obvious emotion being sad, Hamilton goes directly to work. That tells us more about him than if he sang some kind of sad song about how much he was grieving the loss of his friend. And that might come later, it might not. But he's causing changes in people in ways... John Lauren's death is causing changes in people in ways that make it really impactful, rather than if we just witnessed it without seeing the cascading effect. Check out that book if you are a writer. I think it's a must read. Or if you just want to understand how emotions work better.
I finished up my studies and I practiced law.
I practice law. Burr worked next door.
Oh, they both...
We started at the very same
Okay.
time. Alexander Hamilton began to climb. How to account for his rise to the top? Man, the man is non-stop.
Yeah, he
Gentlemen of the jury,
is.
I'm curious.
So this is interesting because I think he would have been nonstop regardless, but especially on the back of losing such a close friend who might have been more than a friend from what you all tell me. Of course he's nonstop. He imagines death so much it feels more like a memory. He's acting like he's on borrowed time.
Bear with me. Are you aware that we're making history? This is the first murder trial.
This
of
is
our nation.
this is such a Hamilton way to deliver this information, where he's not just getting to the points that he needs to. He's creating the big picture behind it all. Like, you could hand him a chocolate bar and he'd be like, this is the first bar of chocolate to be opened in this house, and as I reach for the corners and pull it down, it symbolizes the vulnerability coming forth in each and every one of us. When I think someone like Burr would just go whoosh, and that's it.
Behind deliberation, I intend to prove beyond the shadow of a doubt with my assistant counsel.
Why do you assume you're the smartest in the room?
So
Why do you assume you're the smartest in the room? Assume that attitude may be your due.
foreshadowing, but this looks like motivation, but it's grief. It is motivation too, but it's motivation driven by grief of all he's lost, and this insecurity and desire to get better. But there's a reason that John Lauren's death was shown right before this, apart from historical timeline, which is this is showing us who he is in pain. And to me, this is just really powerful because I see myself in it. I'm someone who buries myself in my work when I'm hurting. And so I'm seeing that reflected in Hamilton in a way that I wouldn't necessarily resonate with in the same capacity if he was just having a scene where he was crying.
Why do you write like you're running out of time? Write day and night like you're running out of time. Every day you fight like you're running out of time. Keep on fighting in the meantime.
Corruption's such an old song that we can sing along in harmony, and nowhere is it stronger than in Albany. Its colonies, economies, increasingly stalling, and honestly,
We gotta talk about
seems to be calling me.
talking about economy again.
I practiced the law, practically perfected it. I've seen injustice
He does assume he's the smartest in the room. He's got an ego that George Washington didn't.
longer than in Albany. Its colonies, economies, increasingly stalling, and honestly, that's why public service seems to be calling me. I practiced the law, practically perfected it. I've seen injustice in the world, and I've corrected it.
In that suit, he looks like, I don't know, Willy Wonka's strange brother that they tell you don't go around. That's a mean. I don't know why I'm just roasting him. I'm really into this.
Strong central democracy, if not, then I'll be Socrates throwing verbal rocks at these mediocrities.
Hamilton at the Constitutional Convention.
So Socrates is an interesting comparison because Socrates is someone who developed the Socratic method, which I think is used in proceedings like this, but also it very much relies on humility, where you just ask question and question and question, and then those questions lead to more questions, and there's more nuance to it. I'm giving a very surface level overview that probably isn't coming close to doing it justice, but it's interesting because Socrates, some people read him as being very humble and saying what he doesn't know, but other people view him as being kind of smug and arrogant, saying like, "Oh, just me. I'm just a lowly Socrates. What could I possibly know? You tell me this, please." So it's like this false humility is a potential reading there.
I was chosen for the Constitutional Convention.
There is a New York junior delegate.
Now, what I'm gonna say may sound indelicate.
Right, young man. Yo, who the F is this? Why do you always say
Yeah,
you-
he's just out of control.
Why do you always
Like he's causing change, but that's how he responds to loss and trauma. Is he's just this storm of change that's wrecking everything that he goes through and trying to build up something new. And while it is genuinely productive, it seems, and I think we've seen in American history, like obviously he left an impact. At least in this telling of the story, I think it's deeply driven by insecurity and guilt, like survivor's guilt and grief.
say what you believe? Every proclamation guarantees free ammunition for your enemies.
Oh, that was interesting too. So that not only is a reflection of Burr's mentality of every proclamation guarantees free ammunition for your enemies, but I feel like that's also foreshadowing something that you said, did, or wrote. That's going to be something I get to use against you later. I don't know what he's going to say, do, or write. Every proclamation. I don't know what, but I think he's the enemy.
I do you right like it's going out of style. Brains day and night like it's going out of style. Every day you fight like it's going out of style. Do what you do. Who's your client?
The new U.S. Constitution.
No. No way.
A series of essays anonymously.
So, Burr isn't going to want to put himself out there that much, but I could see himself wanting to be a part of it at the same time and having this conflict. Like, if it does take root, he wants to be there, but he doesn't want to risk himself in a way that he would need to in order to do it. A series of essays anonymously published.
Defending the document to the public.
No one will read it.
I disagree.
And if it fails,
That's why we need it.
contradiction.
So is independence. We have to
That's interesting. That feels deeper than I'm equipped to grapple with right now, just on a first listen.
start somewhere.
No, no way.
You're making a mistake.
Good night.
Hey, what are you waiting for? What do you stall for?
What?
We won the war. What was it all for?
Yeah, that's exactly what King George was saying. And
Of course.
Then
of course, he's not going to, because that requires putting himself out there. He's not going to say what he believes, because what if that's not the opinion that takes? He's so calculated. But Hamilton and Burr, once again, they're aligned. He's with him. He's just not willing to be this wildfire with him. He's not willing to tear things down and risk jeopardizing this legacy, which is what Wait For It was all about.
defend it.
And what if you're backing the wrong horse?
Burr, we studied and we fought and we killed for the notion of a nation we now get to build. For once in your life, take a stand with pride. I don't understand how you stand to the side.
I'll keep all my plans.
So this is, again, we see misunderstanding between Hamilton and Burr, where Burr sees Hamilton as a wildfire, but Hamilton sees him as too passive. But he's not passive. He's waiting. Like he's what do you call it when like a cat is ready to pounce? Because that's what he is. He's ready and willing to take action. But I think his fatal flaw as a character is that he's so hesitant that there's these moments where he could have caused change, could have been a genuine force for this legacy that he wants. But it, you know what it is? It's like an RPG when I get potions and items and things like that, and I never use them the entire game because I'm like, well, what if I need these later? Like, I don't want to waste this low level item that I could easily get, so I'll just hold on to it and find another way. And then at the end of the game, you're like, okay, well, it's over. I have 99 fried chickens. Probably could have used that. That's who Burr is, and Hamilton. He just makes his own game.
I'll keep all my plans close to my chest. Wait for it. I'll wait here and see which way the wind will blow.
Exactly.
I'm taking my time, watching the afterbirth of a nation, watching contention grow.
So he's just figuring out where to land.
The fact that you're alive is a miracle.
He's not satisfied with Eliza.
Could be enough. And if your wife could share a fraction of your time, if I could grant you peace of mind, would that be enough?
Alexander
So it's changed from that would be enough to would that be enough. That's interesting. She's noticing this discontentment where he isn't satisfied with her. No.
John
No!
a series of essays defending the new United States Constitution entitled the Federalist Papers.
I've heard of those.
The plan was to write a total of 25 essays, the work divided evenly among the three men.
Hamilton's going to write 25.
Essays.
Oh, never mind. That is a lot.
John Jay got sick after writing 5. James Madison wrote 29.
And Hamilton wrote every other dang one.
The other 51. How do you
He is pissed.
write like you're running out of time? Write day and night like you're running out of time. How do you write like you needed to survive? How do you write?
He does need it to survive. This is his survival lifeline. This is his psychological coping mechanism. He gets a quill when he's hurting, and he is always hurting. He's insecure. He doesn't know what's going to happen. He's lost friends. He's had to kill. He's had to lead. And so he's running out of time because if he slows down at all, he is going to freak the fuck out. Sorry, I apologize for my language. But, I mean, that's the vibe that I get.
Every second you're alive, every second you're alive, every second you're alive. They're asking me to lead. I'm doing the best I can to get the people that I need. I'm asking you to be my right hand, man. I know it's a lot to ask. To
No
leave
hesitation.
behind the world you
Sir,
know.
do you want me to run the Treasury or State Department?
Treasury. Duh.
Treasury.
He's always talking about money.
Let's go.
Yeah, and he's willing for it. Oh, and that's going to piss Burr off.
I have to leave.
Burr's going to be furious that he's with Washington in this higher position.
Alexander.
She just wants him to stay.
Look around at how lucky we are to
He didn't even think about her or his son. He's saying, look at this nation. Look at what we're building. Oh. And she's saying, look at our family. Like, isn't this enough? And then he's saying, look at this. Isn't this enough? Yeah, nice little baby we made. I made a country. Like
alive right now. They are asking
Oh.
me to leave.
Look around. Isn't this enough? He will never be
I said,
satisfied.
it's all coming together.
History has I am not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot.
Oh, that better not be symbolic. I'll be pissed. He leaves both of the sisters to go up to Washington as Burr is behind him, looking up to him. Are you kidding? No. Everything is coming together musically, but also thematically. Every single through line that's been set up. And is that Charles Lee? Right there to the right of the stairs, second one. I know that hair. I know that hair anywhere. He's back. He was reborn as a dancer.
I am not throwing away my shot.
And he chooses his nation. Wow. Oh. There we go, halfway point. Let's do it. Oh, this is so good. Everything's coming together. It's so fascinating to me because he is causing more change than he's ever had, and he looks so motivating and inspiring, but he is spiraling. He is spiraling so bad. He lost his friend, And I think that was a big catalyst for him, where he's abandoning his family. He's trying to rise and rise and rise and do greater and greater and greater things. But we know he's never going to be satisfied. It's never going to be enough. His family's not going to be enough. He's ultimately like, there's no way you write that much. Trust me from experience. There's no way you write that much in 6 months while taking good care of yourself. Like, he's putting this mission before everything else, and it's not just this obsession with causing a change, but it's this need to be something and this fear of slowing down, because if he slows down, everything catches up and he doesn't know if he can handle that. Wow. All right, that's that. I'll see you all in the next one. If you want to see the next reaction, that's going to be on Patreon soon, if it's not already. And if you're on Patreon, you are special. Thank you all for your support. This has just been absolutely incredible. I have loved this. I really, really, really love this. And I am so excited to keep going. And I will see you all in the next one.